Very good evening, everyone. Myself, Viren Sharma, Faculty for Public Administration, and welcome to webinar on public administration as well as workshop regarding the choice of optional subject. The purpose of the today's discussion is about discussing some very basic ambiguities and the doubts with respect to choice of an optional subject. What are the criteria we generally follow for choosing an optional? Plus, when we choose any optional subject, how will it be useful for the general studies, whether the optional is scoring or not, whether the optional have any relevance in the current affairs or not. With respect to that, I just have made a use of this basic PPT as well, so that I can incorporate your questions as well as your ideas while explaining that what is public administration and what role it can play in deciding your success within the civil services journey. So let's begin with these basic ideas here. We will discuss this entire into the sequence that what is public administration as an optional subject, plus whether it will be useful in the GS paper, plus will it be useful also within the essay. Not just that, is the subject is static or dynamic, plus what is the role of newspaper current affair in your optional subject, and even what is the success rate of this public administration in comparison to some other optional, which will be based upon the UPSC's annual report, that will be 73rd report available in the public domain. And will it be useful for your future role as well, means how it will help you, because means very common thing, people may have various means choices about the GS subjects. Some people like history in the GS, some like polity and governance in the GS, some people like geography in the GS. So on that basis, can we choose an optional? Some people like polity and governance also in the GS. So when we have polity and governance as our favorite subject, then in that condition, our natural target will go towards the direction of either PSIR, otherwise political science, or public administration. So how these two will also be useful in order to deciding that can we go with this PSIR optional or can we go with this public administration optional. These are the major areas of discussion in this today's workshop. That's why these are the very basic question which comes in our mind as a student who is willing to decide about the optional subject. To begin with, just think about this one more question, that is my own perception, that what are our GS or favorite GS subjects? These are basically from the point of view of GS paper 1 in the prelims, isn't it? These are considered as the core, that either we'll have to go with the history, we may like geography, we may like GS economics, even general science also. And this will be based upon many times our coverage with the GS portion as well as our educational career. Not just that, environment and ecology, as well as the last option have been kept here as polity and governance. So if you like the subjects like GS history, then maybe the optional choices will also go towards the history as an area of interest. But on the other side, geography, we may have the geography optional regarding that. GS economics portion, we may even have the options like geography optional, or environment and ecology can also be linked with the geography optional. Plus, what about this portion? Polity and governance. So with this respect, there are genuine demand goes only for these two portions. One is PSIR, second one is the public administration. That's why the two natural ally as well as the competitor subjects will be either PSIR or this puppet. And it is because of this portion. So in case you have no interest in polity governance, then these two subjects can become also the nightmare. That's a concern, because maybe we have no interest in the Indian government, Indian governance system, and we have to study not just union government and state government, but we also have to study the local self government as well, which is about panchayats as well as municipality. And in this context, I will also try to discuss and bring into our today's webinar the syllabus of the public administration, so that we can understand that whether it is useful for the GS or not, whether it will be useful for the essay paper or not, because on that basis we take a decision. In this context, think about starting from this question: what is public administration? So in public administration, the public is not we the people. The public in public administration is government. So the government administration is known as public administration. And when we clear the civil service exam, what we become is public administrators. So it does not matter which optional subject I have studied. I have to work as an administrator. I might be a graduate from the medical field. I might be a graduate from the science field. I might be a graduate even from the humanities field. Is it? In all those circumstances, when we are going to work after clearing this examination, we all will become public administrators, public servant, is it? Government officers. They all are covered by one broad term: administrators. And administrators is a term we should use in the context that what is the role? The role is about planning. The role is about organizing. The role is about selecting right man for right job. The role is about getting things done. It's not that we have to do the work. We have to get our work done by our subordinates. The role is about reporting. The role is about budgeting. All of them can be used by the term post corp. 7 functions are there: planning, organizing, staffing, then reporting, directing, budgeting, and accountability. Overall, 7 techniques of administration are considered for public administration. And that's why it does not matter in which department a person is posted, what subject he has studied, which services he has been selected. All these 7 techniques of post-corp are common for these public administrators. That's why the government administration is called public administration. And this is what you all are aspiring for. Either you wanted to be an IAS officer, you wanted to be an IPS officer, you wanted to be a revenue service officer. किसी भी department में जाएं, the work is supposed to be done as a public administrator. Then, based upon this, it's a second question which comes in the mind, and this is an overview. Yeah, question was even with respect to whether it will be useful for the GS or not. So these are the some basic topics mentioned from the syllabus to even explain the overview of this subject. These, the left side part are representing paper 1's topic. The right side parts are representing paper 2 of the public administration's topic. And if you observe, some of the term you will find in the GS portions as well. Paper 1 is more about public administration theories and concepts. Theories and concepts are going to develop management skills in us. Means how we have to get the things done. For that, there's a short form known as OTOB that refers to organizational theories and organizational behavior. Means we may require motivation. We may require leadership. We require communication. How we have to get the things done from our subordinate. So leadership's qualities are needed. It is possible you are highly motivated, but the team members or your subordinates, they are unwilling to work. But can you do the entire work on their behalf? No. We have to get that things done from our subordinate. And that's why I need to develop their morale. I need to build their morale. And to develop their morale, I might have to appreciate their working. To continue their high levels of motivation, I might have to reward them. And in this context, building morale, building team is also a challenge which is given by the government towards you. Means imagine this way: a person might be posted as an IPS officer, is it? And he has never ever been part of any rural area, coming all the way from urban part of the country, and the district where he is posted is a disturbed area. Disturbed area in the sense there are law and order challenges. Armed Force Special Powers Act might also be applicable. And not just that, it is also, let's say, the red corridor. Like right now, we might have read in the newspaper a term that the Home Minister have given the statement by the 31st March 2026, the Naxalism will be over from the Indian soil. That's a statement. And for that, Operation Samadhan has been under implementation. Now imagine if a PERS officer from urban area posted within this Naxal belt have no understanding about the rural part or rural territory and directly posted within that portion. Now he require high morale for himself. He has to get the things done from his team member. He also have to be vigilant about the central government policy. Plus, being an IPS officer, he belong to All India Service. So he will be under dual control of central as well as state government, and it is his duty to execute the order of the central government. In this context, what he require in his working is the organizational theory and organizational behavior. That means management skills for planning, management skills for execution. And these things are also related to this portion. Law and order administration. Think about, you might have GS paper 3, security issues. So the managerial and management skills will be developed from paper 1 and to be applied in paper 2. And not just that, can we find this match within the GS portion? GS paper 3. Absolutely correct. This is why the moment you start observing that, oh, this is the topic, and do it have a relevance in the GS or not, we can always and on our own can observe its application. Then we have the topic here which is mentioned as accountability and control. This is also PubEd paper 1 topic, and this accountability and control talks about parliamentary control, judicial control, ministerial control over the executive or administrators. And in paper 2, we have those things here. Union government. So think about the parliament exercises control over the executive. We might study in the GS polity role of Council of Minister. Council of Minister is collectively responsible to the House of People. Judicial control, judicial structure, these kind of portions are in detail exist within our paper 2. That's why this is just a brief summary, and this overall point have been mentioned in detail way with this just syllabus reflection. That's why I just added those things which I'm saying verbally through the factual one. And if you see very carefully, the two different color fonts are visible. The yellow one is overlapping area with the GS portions. This is from PubEd paper 1. And if we observe it out, then imagine accountability control was the topic I was telling you, is it? And within that, legislative, executive, and judicial control over the administration. We find that in polity and governance. Plus, think about role of media. It is something which can be even asked within the essay paper also. Role of media can even be raised within the ethics paper also. It can even be asked in the governance paper as well. That's why by one single topic, we can have a benefit in all the 2-3 GS papers. Plus, if you observe role of civil society, role of citizens charter, and role of RTI and social audit, all these topics are there within the GS paper 4 as well as GS paper 2. So if you study a topic in optional paper, you study that topic from origin towards the second ARC recommendations. Means even in our GS also we have discussed the judicial portions we might have discussed in the classes, and there it's like basic concept, relating it with the theoretical knowledge, articles of the constitution, then the problem area or assessment area, along with the suggestion for reforms. All those ideas, when you develop in optional also on these topic, then it doesn't matter we are writing the GS answer or we are writing the optional answer. we have both the wider information available with us to write the best possible answers there. Plus, the another one which we observe here, delegated legislation and administrative tribunals. Tribunal is one of the important topic these days is emerging. Even right now, CGI is saying so many things about the tribunals. In fact, last year, Tribunal Reforms Act was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And reforms provisions were made in 2021, but declared unconstitutional in 2025. And those kind of topics are there. They are useful from the GS paper 2 point of view. Plus, this is an optional subject which not only help you in polity and governance only, it can also help you in GS paper 3. How? Observe this point. Monetary and fiscal policy. So, policy of the government with respect to taxation and policy of RBI with respect to monetary. Not just that, government borrowings is here called public borrowings and public debt. Plus, types and forms of budget. Different types of budgeting techniques exist, zero-based budgeting. Then we have the concept called planning performance budgeting, outcome budgeting. Present budgeting technique is called outcome budgeting. That's also a part of this types of budgeting. Role of CAG. CAG will be part of this mechanism, accounts and audit. In fact, these days, the question in the GS paper which is getting asked on the topic of CAG is not a traditional topic of polity and governance. Last year, there was a question in the GS paper on CAG, and they have technically asked about the comparative or types of audit, regularity audit and propriety audit. That type of comparison has been raised. In fact, performance audit versus regularity audit was the exact context of that question, and that can be answered on the basis of these topics. Plus, in the GS paper 4, you have civil service code of conduct, civil service code of ethics. That is part of our this unit called personnel administration and civil services in India. That's why all these are in PubEd paper 1, applicable for the GS paper 2, 3 and 4. This way it is overlapping of just one paper. Then the PubEd paper 2 syllabus is purely called Indian administration, and this portion have the highest amount of overlapping with your GS portions. In fact, more than white is the yellow color which is visible here. And how that is there? Let's observe it out. Constitutional values and premises. Constitutionalism, that means whatever are requirement of the preamble, what are the requirement of separation of power, checks and balance, that will be part of this portion. Role of bureaucracy in democracy. That's a common topic, and that is here, bureaucracy and democracy for that purposes. Then even PSUs. PSUs is also useful for the GS paper 3. We have a complete unit upon the PSUs. Then imagine Niti Aayog, 5-year planning. We have that unit here, machinery for planning. State level planning board, 92nd Amendment Act, and role of district planning committee, role of metropolitan planning committee. Means we have a planning not just for the national level, we have a planning at all the 3 levels. And when we study the 3 levels of planning, it helps us also to work as an administrator in future. Because what will be the role, how the plan formulation will happen, how the plan execution will happen. That's why all the 3 tier structures of the planning can be a part here. Plus, as I was telling you, union government of paper 2, that is here. Executive, parliament, judicial structure, cabinet secretariat, prime minister's office. Recently, Prime Minister's office has been renamed as Seva Tirth. So that Seva Tirth will not be updated in the syllabus, but it is part of the application of current affair within the optional paper syllabus. Then there are terms like boards and commissions. Boards and commissions are in the nature of regulatory bodies. You have Securities and Exchange Board of India, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, then recently created Digital Board of India, DBI, under the DPDP Act. These kind of institutions are called by one term, independent regulatory bodies and commission, and they are also useful for paper 2 as well as paper 3 in the GS, and will be part of puppet paper 2 syllabus. Plus from paper 2 only, this is about state government and administration, and this one is the district administration. In fact, case studies which we have to answer for GS paper 4, the case studies are always based upon your understanding as a district administrator. That's why what is the role of a district administrator, what is the role of a district collector, that become the basis for this portion of the case study, and that cost around 120 marks of the case studies in ethics. Total 250 marks, 130 marks theory, 120 marks is the case study. That's the reason why we are able to say that PubMed is having more overlapping in comparison to any another optional subject with the GS, but yeah, it suffers from bad publicity. Then this is also part of the syllabus of paper 2 of PubMed only, which is also about civil services unit. This is financial management unit, where it is explicitly provided role of the comptroller and auditor general. Then apart from this, even these kind of topics, role of paramilitary forces. That's why it is said that security issues and even disaster management have overlapping with our syllabus. You will find the disaster management as the last topic of the syllabus. So by going through the syllabus, we can simply make an observation that the optional have overlapping with not just one GS paper, but this is the only optional which you have overlapping with 3 GS paper. That means if you can invest your time and resources with this optional, you will never have any kind of negative outcomes with this. However, in terms of number, many times it comes in our mind that what is the success rate of this optional. So let me ask this question, and even you online can also type this answer. Which optional has the highest success rate? Let's check our IQ and GK. Let's participate, and please be blunt to answer. There's no problem in answering it out. Which optional has the highest success rate? और मुझे लगता है आंसर सही नहीं आएगा. Sociology, okay. Think something else is coming in your mind. You are free to answer, because that way, this is how we even study in the class. This is how we have studied also within the GS. Can we get the PPT to download? Yes, we'll allow that. Last QR code will be somewhere available. You can easily download the PPT. There's no problem. Okay, PSIR. That may not be correct answer. More number of student, highest number are within the PSIR only who are writing, but still it do not have the highest success rate. Percentage wise, it is as per the available report of UPSC, it was Manipuri language. So imagine literature language, 2 people have appeared, 1 got cleared. Success rate 50% ho gaya. But can we take Manipuri language and even appear for that purpose? This is where the concern is. Literature is having that kind of number. And for that purpose, I'm just sharing with this one, it's a report copy only. So I hope first this idea is clear to us. Is it useful in the GS paper? Answer is, we can have this application now that yes, it is applicable for the GS paper. And through also may not be completely correct answer for that. Think about, okay, let's take out this literature and think about the second highest success rate. That can also be a good idea. Think for second success rate. I hope for online also this is clear, that is it useful in the essay. So answer is here also the yes will be there, because when you develop the sound knowledge about optional, you can write the same structured way answer also for the essay paper as well, because there also we need to go with basic concept, we need to develop the analysis, we need to develop the problem solving approach, and we need to suggest the futuristic reform. That structure part we can follow, and that's why it will help you to even write a good essay answers also. Then, is it static or a dynamic part? So major part is static. It's like a 60-40 ratio. 60-40 in the sense, if suppose there are management thinkers, so management thinkers have already developed their theories. Taylor is one of the classical thinker, and he developed his theories in the 1910. Now after that there is no addition by the Taylor because he do not exist at present, and that portion will become static part. However, there is role of governor. Now, role of governor from constitution point of view is a static part. But is every governor following the constitutional provision with the right spirit? Answer may or may not. So when it is may or may not, that will become part of dynamic portion. That's why parliament do have a power to amend the constitution, static part. Are they making the law according to constitution? That law can be decided valid or invalid, and the provisions of that law will become here a dynamic part. That means you will never get bored by your optional subject. It always have new additions from the current affairs with basic parts related to the static. So PubEd has combination of both. It is static as well as dynamic in nature. In fact, we can say the Indian administration part is dynamic, and the theories and concepts part in paper 1 is more and more static part, and that's why we can never get bored by our optional. Many time it happen that I have read it once, तो उसके बाद खराब लग रहा है. Same ही चीज, how many time I'm going to read it out. So I can read the theories part, can prepare the small synopsis, and can keep on revising it again and again. Dynamic part, make common content and then keep on adding the examples with new references, with new case laws. Like in today's newspaper, it has been information that in excise policy of the Delhi government, all 22 accused have been given clean chit by the lower court. Rouse Avenue Court is a lower court, special court for MPs and MLAs. And it has raised the question about the CBI's investigation officer. Now, CBI can have a right to appeal before High Court. That is their power. But the court also directed action against the investigating officer for making prejudice in the investigation and making those people accused against whom there is no evidence available. Now, this could be suit against a public official as a part of judicial control, a method of judicial control, and it will become a relevant example to be written in the GS also. And this way, your interlinking of the subject with the current affair and newspaper will always keep you busy and will make this optional subject interesting from the exam's perspective. That's why it is a combination of both static portions as well as the dynamic portion. Then, this is what I was explaining you, how to use the newspaper and current affair issues in the optional. So just that example which we have discussed, that CBI officer is going to be made accountable for such kind of faulty investigation, and using the newspaper and adding that example under, imagine one, role of central agencies that could be related to law and order. Second, it is also with respect to the CBI's or that is judiciary, that judiciary has ordered the investigation against the investigating officer and given the clean chit, plus special court of MP and MLA have given this order. So one single story can be covered from 3 different dimensions. One, for political dimension, MP MLA matter. Second, role of investigation agency, there can be the same example we can use. And third is overall role of that is judiciary. So judiciary, politics, and investigation agency. Same thing can be visualized from 3 different perspectives. That is how we need to observe and gradually uplift our knowledge in accordance with this competitive system. And that can be developed by your optional subject. Based upon that, this is just a recent trend. We come upon this on the last only. This also will come at the last. This is the question which mostly dominates our mind: success rate and the probability. Success rate and probability, this was the thing which I was also asking you, that which subject is having the highest success rate. That is Manipuri language. We all cannot take that one. But what are the other humanities subject which can have the highest success rate? And this is part of the screenshot from the 73rd annual report of UPSC only, so that facts will be with us. In terms of number of selections, the highest number you will find is with the PSIR, where 1571 students have appeared, 140 got selected, and what is the rate of success? 8.9. That means out of 109 only will got selected. That's a simple conclusion. Out of 109 only are going to be selected. Then the second highest after this PSIR you will observe is sociology, and within the sociology you have again 1087 students who have appeared, and number of selected are 92, and what is the success rate? 8.5. Is it? And what is the third highest number of selection that you will find even with the Anthro? And Anthro, 1159 people have appeared, and how many actually have got selected is 90. And what is the success rate? 7.8. But 7.8 will not be visible. What will be visible is 90. And when I ask my friend that what optional you are reading, he will be telling, and that will be the social influence. That, oh, my friend is studying, I can also study. That's how social impact creates upon us. I might have discussed with one of the mentor. He suggested that, see, the puppet is not at all even good. It is better you also study the either Anthro or either the socio. And I started thinking about them. And if you observe what is the success rate of this optional, then just observe it out. How many people have appeared? Only 361. How many have selected? 31. And what is the success rate? 8.6. Isn't it higher than the other two? Just observe rationally. 8.6 in terms of socio, 8.5, Anthro, 7.8. So percentage wise, there's no problems. It's a publicity issue. नाम हुई तो क्या नाम ना होगा, that kind of logic is going on that particular scenario. Otherwise, if out of 100, 9 students are getting selected by the PSIR, 9 only are getting selected by the PubEd, 9 only are getting selected by the socio. Technically all 3, but they don't carry the highest success rate. The highest success rate you will find somewhere. Imagine this percentage also. It's a wonderful data, and that is, I'm not going for literature number. The number is management. 16. How many selected? 5. But number of people appeared only is 31. But that may not be given that much weightage, because the one who have taken it might have the base from the management and he wanted to continue with his own subject. That's why one of an easy way is what? Whatever is my subject in graduation, I can only go with the same subject. But only you know how you have done your graduation. Nobody else knows. Only you know how you have done it. Is it up to what level we have studied in detail or in just limited number of days? And that approach may not work here. That's the reason why the data speaks for itself. And even in terms of the selection, then even after these Anthro, you will see the surprising part, geography. The geography have 1079 selection and means appearing candidate, and selected number 66, and imagine the success rate 6.1. Is it? Because subject appears very interesting, but the data creates many times a challenge to retain and recall and structure within the answer. In fact, more than these subjects, there's a good success ratio for the maths optional as well. That is 9.7, even higher than our PSIR as well as PubMed सोशो सब पीछे हैं उसके मुकाबले. But this is data analysis. And by analyzing the data, we can simply reach to this conclusion that the ratio of this optional subject is very much comparative among the top 5 optional subjects from the humanities field. So it's just a myth that there are no selection from this optional. It is just misled by the entire market. It's market who create some subjects, it's market who destroy some subjects. Paper these days are coming very average. They require a combination of a concept, they require a combination of current affairs application, and that helps you to develop problem solving approaches. So there's nothing like that the subject is out of the context or subject has no relevance. Subject have every relevance with your GS, with your essay paper, with also in terms of weightage is equivalent to any another optional subject, and that's the reason why this part of 73rd report is directly useful for our simple understanding. I hope that can simplify and burst many myths with terms of our discussion. So our natural competitor in terms of optional subject between the PubMed and will reach to the PSIR. And that's why a very small analysis is also made for this awareness purpose only. It does not mean that optional is bad or anything else. These all are factually available information across all the public domain. Means as a student, many have asked this question, what is the difference between this PSIR and the PubMed? Means if I have to choose PubMed, I might not have to take PSIR. So why should I take this optional and ignore PSIR, which again have the highest number of selected candidates? The simple logic which can help us to take this decision is an idea. Think about the syllabus part. The syllabus of the PSIR is comparatively lengthy as compared to the PubMed. PubMed have a compact syllabus. We have in total 26 units. 12 units in paper 1 and 14 units in paper 2. Only 26 units we have. Plus the thinkers or philosophers is the term for them. We also have the thinkers or philosophers, but the difference is what? They are more political in nature. Political. We have a thinker, but they are management oriented. Like I was telling you this idea, F.W. Taylor, Henry Fayol, Max Weber. Even Max Weber these days is asked in the GS paper 4 also. Means nowhere it is prescribed Max Weber as a part of GS paper 4, but there are questions on GS paper 4. That's why when you talk about bureaucracy, you know there can be no study on bureaucracy without Max Weber. That is the contribution of Max Weber. And that's why whenever you have to study bureaucracy, it always moves around the thinker, that is Max Weber. Otherwise, they can be called post-Weberian approaches. And these kind of philosophies we will find in the PubMed syllabus here. That's why it's just a point-wise observation and comparison for the knowledgeable purpose to remove these doubts. Because maybe after opting for the optional, if I start feeling that after 1 month or after 15 days, I'm finding syllabus is too lengthy, it is taking more time to cover, then it will be just an unnecessary wastage of time and resources. From that perspective, the small comparative analysis is added. Then the political science basic, you can say, approach to study is political science helps you to develop political nature of working, how to rule, how to run a state, how to run a country. That philosophy is taught as a part of the political science. Whereas the public administrator or as a public servant, you need to develop the philosophy which is here. How to serve, citizen-centric approach. Citizen-centric approach. Being a civil servant, we are not having a political biasness. We require to develop political neutrality. Political biasness can be done by the politicians. You are preparing for bureaucracy and you need civil service neutrality rather than political biasness. And that's why it makes a very basic difference. Success rate is, as I told you earlier, 8.9%, and here it is 8.6. So it is comparatively 0.3 degree or 3% lesser. But in round of number, it becomes same. Out of 100, 9 only will be calculated as per the application of maths as well as science for the number games. And then the duration is also a bigger challenge. As per this market ORN, the PSIR optional is taking around this much time period to cover. That is available in the public domain on every next platform as well, that it is taking. If my optional subject is taking equivalent to the GS subject, then when will I revise my optional? That's a concern, and therefore we may have this optional subject duration, and ours is only this much. In fact, it means it's there available from our existing students as well, can always be cross verified that how much time it has been taken to cover, and it is just around 5 to 5.5 months, not beyond this. So within a span of these duration, you can cover your optional twice. One time with the class, second time with the self study, whereas here it will be only one time coverage. So this is natural because of this reason. It's not the problem is about guidance, it's about the syllabus content. Means you have Greek philosophers, German philosophers, Italian philosophers, British philosophers, all are multiple. We have just management thinker, which can be 10 to 15 in number. And the moment we start making a one page note after completion of the class itself, so maybe 15 thinker, 15 pages, and maximum it may take 2 hours to 3 hours in order to make a small synopsis related revision. But when we have so many thinkers here, that creates an extra burden in terms of the overall coverage. Plus, this is also PSIR has overlapping with GS paper 2 and 4. We do have not just 2 paper, we have 2, 3 as well as 4. We have just observed GS paper 3 with respect to economics portion, with respect to monetary policy, with respect to disaster management, as well as with respect towards the security issues. Then they have overlapping with essay. We also do have the overlapping with the essay. Their reference books are minimum 8 to 10. That is an average. We just have also lesser number. कम thinker है तो कम book होगा. Natural है. इसमें with what is the science we have to apply? There's no science. It's just a number game that we may have 4 to 5 because we have a limited number of thinkers. In fact, our thinkers book is just one. Administrative thinkers, Prasad, and that is more than enough in order to cover those 19 thinkers overall. And 1 or 2 topics have also been given from the development administration's point of view. Whereas the weightage with respect to this, it is said that the optional paper will also cover weightage of GS paper 2, complete 250 marks of GS paper 2, as well as some portions of the GS paper 4. Overall weightage will become 750 to maximum 800. We cannot claim our one single paper will cover one single GS. So we can simply claim out of GS paper 2, out of 250 marks, approximately 160 to 170 marks weightage we have, which is with the polity and governance. Same way, GS paper 3, again 50 to 60 marks weightage we will have, and GS paper 4 we have the highest weightage, which can go up to approximately 200 marks. And the moment you will club all these 3 together with your 500 marks optional, then you are not studying it for just these marks. You are studying it somewhere for 900 plus marks. And this is also available as a factual information. The moment you compare the syllabus, it will all be available to you in terms of the factual information. That's why this PDF is created only for this knowledgeable purpose and the fact-based comparative analysis. 10th क्लास में इतना परसेंटेज मार्क्स है, ग्रेजुएशन में इतना परसेंटेज मार्क्स है, यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन कर सकते हैं, एज 29 है. As per age till 32, we all are eligible to appear in the examination. Second, we may have the number of attempts and age relaxation according to our community or the category which we have. Hindi may explain. See, there is a challenge for the Hindi explanation because the studies in the Vajiram are usually the English medium classes. So, and when we start making this bilingual, it also create a challenge. The people will again complain that see they are not means interacting within the English language and again have to translate. So I'm just keeping this Hindi as simple, English as simple as possible so that it is a very understandable way and using very easy English words to make it simple. So in that context, you have eligibility to appear. Your query is regarding this. And second, depending upon the means category of the class of citizen to which you belong, maybe OBC, maybe scheduled caste, maybe scheduled tribe, or EWS. EWS do not have age relaxation, but only means marks and other relaxations are available. But for OBC, there are 3 extra attempts, and for scheduled caste, there are 5 extra attempts. I'm an English honor at English literature optional maybe. English literature optional also is available within this means the list of the candidate. But only one concern, when we are taking these optional subjects from literature, we have 0 overlapping with the GS portions. That's why how should we take the choice about an optional? There are 2 different basic parameters. One, I can go with my graduation subject in which I have done my honors. I might have studied my masters also. I may not require in that case any coaching, any class assistance. I can just spend my entire time and energy upon the GS, and for the optional I will just go for writing certain test series if available within the society. However, if I have no such you can say trust about the optional which I have studied in my graduation, and I'm planning to take an optional subject which help me in the GS also, then in that condition all these discussion which we are doing will be useful. In that context, I can go with the humanities subject, I can go with the science subject, I can go with any another professional course subject. In that context, humanities subject is what we are right now focusing upon, is it? Otherwise, maybe the, as I told you earlier, the success ratio of all the optional subject I just have bought for that information purpose only. Is it? Even observe English literature also have 11% success rate, as you were raising it. 11% is the success rate here for the English. But how many are the number? 3. That's a concern. Self-study of PubMed is obviously available as well. That's not a problem. I'm already telling the books for that purposes. Otherwise, we have the pink material. It can be pink booklet also is the term for them. And that can be easily means available through the courier or postal services and can study accordingly. That's all. Everything is there. Means if I feel like a hand-holding approach, I can come to join the classroom program. If I feel like I can do the self-study, then I can just participate with the test series, because even that is also open for the students. If I feel like I'm very good with the Indian administration and just have to cover with the paper 1, so just you in that condition we need that assistance for the paper 1, we might have to enroll for then classroom for such purposes. So it depends upon your requirement that what is best for you, but that best will be decided by you. I can only be a medium to tell that what are the options available with us and how you can make adjustment according to your own requirement. That's the main logic. Any maximum score? Maximum score these days is not at all even applicable, because scores will be given according to the quality of answers you are writing. If you are writing the basic concept along with constitutional provision, along with recommendation of the committees or commission, you will be able to fetch a higher marks. But if examples are missing, facts are missing, only just a broad explanation have been given, then the marks will also be average. It will be around 50-52% of the marks only. So if you have to score anything above 280 plus, you just have to work little extra in the sense, develop conceptual understanding, try to incorporate examples. Writing a PubMed answer, you can always include articles also from the constitution, and then make a future recommendation of suggestion for reform. The moment these four things are combination of your answer, you will always score more than 55 up to 60% of the marks. In fact, 2020, there was rank 1 from PubMed. There was a rank 1 from PubMed 2020. Unfortunately, that was a COVID era. That's a problem. And due to COVID era, then what has been there, that the interactions have not become online and very means wider scale discussion, and it remained like that. There's no selection from this option. That's a concept. So what we can do, we cannot change all these things. And the score he has got is an extraordinary numbers. In optional, score was only 294. So roughly around 59% of the marks. But what has helped that candidate were two things. One, GS paper 2. He got 125 plus. GS paper 4, 157 marks. So 157 marks in the GS paper 4 or interview में सिर्फ 158 marks है. So if somebody get 158 marks in the interview, and can you expect that that individual can even get an all India rank 1? It's very difficult to imagine. But because he has scored already enough number of marks in the mains, it has helped that candidate to even get the rank 1. That's why mains is the area which can help you to develop overall wider strategy. Confusion between geography and PubMed. Hence, you can remove your confusion by the success rate. That's also a possibility. Means if somebody is thinking about that on the basis of the number I have to take an optional, then go by the percentage rather than by the number. That's what the concern. But if that is the logic, then think about 50% is also the result. Manipuri literature. But can we write that language? Do we know this? Answer is possibly no. Then we cut short our entire idea to just 4 or 5 major subjects, which can have overlapping with my GS. And in that part, then we will find this one. Second, PubMed. Third is socio. Fourth is here, geography. And fifth one also, that could be anthro, which may have overlapping with the general studies portion. So in this context, we can consider. That's how whatever you have to choose should be based upon the factual comparative analysis. Hope that can clarify this idea. Plus, this is equally relevant. That was the portion. And this is also many mentors, our teachers, they used to suggest that you have to study the ARC and use ARC within the GS answers as well. Our optional out of 15 reports in syllabus only will cover approximately 8 reports, which are directly useful for our overall coverage of the syllabus. The report on crisis management is useful for disaster management topic. Crisis management is for disaster management. I'm just going on that screen where was written as a basic summary so that it can be answered with facts. And that will be helpful for this answer as well. How it will be helpful for future role. Even both of these questions which are pending will remain resolved. That was just a recent trend. I just have to go for the summary wala syllabus. Yes. This part. So various reports of the second ARC are related towards these portions. How? There is a report on union government. So that will be useful for parliamentary discussions, for the Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, those portions. There's a separate report on state government and administration. We can use that recommendation in this portion. There's another report related to local government that will be useful for panchayats and municipality. There's a report on crisis management. Crisis management report only will be used for the disaster management topic. There's a report on public order, which will be useful here. for law and order unit. There's a report on ethics in governance and personnel administration. Two separate reports are there. One on personnel administration, another is on ethics in governance, and they both are useful for this portion. Civil service values. And there's a report on citizen-centric administration. Citizen-centric administration. Citizen-centric administration will help you for citizen charter, RTI related topic, and they are a part of this syllabus. Accountability and control. That's why all of these ideas can easily be incorporated along with the classes. There's a query. My background is from finance, management, and economics. If you have the finance, management, economics, then just observe these are the portion which I was explaining initially, that we have organizational theory and behavior, which is related to the management part. We do have these portions, financial administration and management, which can be again useful from the economics point of view. So it will be helpful for you. Or before joining anything, it is better you can even refer some of the philosophers from the political science book and some from your management theory. If you find that political philosophers were interesting and you are able to simply apply, then that would be a good choice. Otherwise, if you find that Kant, Rousseau, and these are creating many trouble in understanding and application, then may have to think about your management thinker. Because whatever choice you will make, after making, we can think many times before taking a decision. After taking a decision, we have to stick and execute it successfully. That's the thing. And this is why any decision based upon factual analysis is always a rational decision. And any decision on the basis of hearsay things can take us to the big trouble. Suni sunai baaton mein nahi jana hai. Whatever you have to do, even if I'm doing this and telling this, it's all verified information, and this will be available for the download purpose, so that whatever discussion we have done can be easily examined, can be easily evaluated before taking a final call, because the syllabus is not starting immediately. The syllabus will start in the mid-April. Before that, we have enough time to even consider, and it will be more useful if we are going to appear in 2027, 28, so that if we have done our optional in advance, it will help us also for our GS answer writing. It is said GS answer also require analysis. Analysis kahan se aayega? Optional to padha nahi hai. That's a concern. And when you study optional, you will get the scholars in your knowledge. Using scholars' argument in critical evaluation enhances the quality of your answer. But if there is no such information available, then it is just another average answer. These days, AI, it's dominating everywhere. But the point is, even AI itself said that cross-check the information. You cannot broadly trust on whatever information I as an AI is sharing with you, because it is just increasing the speed of search. It's not cross-verifying that what is authentic and what is not. In that context, it is relevant to just simply cross-check. We can take your queries more. देखते हैं कोई query और इधर है. What is meant by okay, this is administration in general is all about the managing affairs. In a general layman's language, when you are using the word administration, it is only about managing affairs. These affairs can be public or private. If it is private, you call it management, and if it is public, you call it the government administration or the public administration, which we are actually discussing. And these queries I already have incorporated. We are free to clarify any further doubt coming in our mind. After coaching, how we will develop to practice? Yeah, once we are done with the syllabus of the classroom program, we have developed our basic notes, then we can always appear for the test series after completion of the syllabus. The right time to do the test series is after prelims. The year in which you have appeared in your prelims, after that only it is good to even appear for the mains test series, because that time you will be having more dedication to write the answers. If I'm not writing the mains and just joining the test series and not even writing the test with 100% dedication, then the zeal is missing. Is it? So it is good if I'm writing my test series in the year when I'm writing for the mains. Or in that case, it is possible that means as a student you have in a plan that I want to appear in 2028. तो मेरे पास 2 साल हैं. Then in that condition, you can study your optional this year and appear for the test series next year, 27, and then appear for 2028. Because by that time you will be able to write the test twice. And when we are more writing, more practice, obviously our confidence level will also be on a higher side. That's the thing. So if we start preparing in a time early, we can also complete our syllabus early. We can do more revision and we can be more confident to write the good answers to score the marks and ensure success for us. See, that is an overall idea. And that question, which I hope that can now be easily answered, will it help you to, how it will help you to prepare for future role? सारा पॉजिटिव चीजें हो गया, एक नेगेटिव चीज भी कर लेना चाहिए. That is also done. This is also included. This is what I was telling you earlier. Recent trends. We have the rank 1 from PubMed. Then other two, they were rank 12 last year. Rank 12 also came, and that was also having PubMed. But only problem is we only look towards the 1. 1 के आगे 2 लगा है, 12 है, वो भी IAS है. But that is not an area of interest. Why? Because the market look towards what? 1, 2, 3, top 3 में दिख रहा है. There are 90 IAS officers selected. And sometime it happened, the officer might be at a rank of 125. He is also an IAS. Because of the benefit of some reservation and the exemptions available to the candidates. So our objective is what? All India. If it is all India, then it doesn't matter whether I'm standing at rank 1 or I'm standing at rank 51. If both are all India, my objective is achieved. That's a way of looking towards the system. But because of the coverages given by various institutions towards rank 1, special discussions and other, so it all have become like a star and celebrity images. Because of which unnecessary pressure is getting built upon every next candidate about the selection and the ranking. That's why it is just a practical idea that doesn't matter what is the rank. The most important is whether my goal is achieved or not. My goal is all India, that is supposed to be achieved. And this was the thing, how it helps you for future role. It gives you practical knowledge about the administration. Plus, when we are even solving a case study in the GS paper 4, we always focus upon one term, stakeholders. Stakeholder. The more stakeholders you will think, the more dimension in problem solving you will develop. Think in a common layman's language these days, we have a topic called public-private partnership. So it's a government road given to the private company. Let's say Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, 1200 kilometers to be developed. Government project to be given to a private sector company. How many stakeholders can be involved in this? Imagine, visualize and try to name, and I will also add some extra stakeholder if needed. This is an approach which we have to gradually develop in terms of our studies. 1, it's a road project, so belongs to Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, Central Ministry. Land as a subject belongs to state. Delhi से मुंबई तक जाना है. How many states will get involved? Delhi, Haryana, possibly Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, फिर महाराष्ट्र में एंटर कर पाएंगे. Land acquisition in all these territories. So 5 to 6 different state territories will also get involved in this land acquisition drive. Then this will also be passing through some of the protected forest and the reserved areas also. Aravali's is one of them. Already Supreme Court का judgment Aravali पर चल रहा है. So judiciary will also become a stakeholder. And these Ministry of Tribal Affairs, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट, इनका भी एनओसी चाहिए. प्रोजेक्ट इज टू बी डेवलप्ड बाय अ प्राइवेट कंपनी, तो प्राइवेट डेवलपर इज ऑल्सो अ स्टेक होल्डर. Plus, private company may take loan from the banks only. Bank is another stakeholder. अब इन सबके interest are they same or contrary to each other? And what about landowner? Consider yourself as the landowner. आप ही का जमीन acquire होना है. Will you be taking lower compensation or you will be demanding higher compensation? Naturally higher पे ही जाओगे. And what if you are developer? So you will be willing to give higher compensation or the lowest compensation? So imagine this is called conflicting interest, contrary interest. And I as a public administrator has to bring all of you on a track so that we can solve this problem in a win-win situation. So we will work according to law. Law says rural area 4 times of the circle rates. Urban area 2 times of the circle rates. We'll hold consultation according to law. We'll take NOC from the concerned ministries and convince the state government for land acquisition in a time bound manner. And that's what public administrator helps in order to develop the future of the country as well as your individual role. And that's why a public administrator is expected to be a problem solver, not a problem creator. Politics focuses upon the ruling ideology. Administration focuses on serving ideology. And that's why if there's a problem, there's always a solution. And if there's no solution, then quite possibly you are the problem because you're not thinking about the solution at all. And this is constructive criticism, which we require to develop in terms of a good administrator. A good administrator is required to be a good listener also. Listen carefully and then respond according to administrative requirement. That is the approach what this optional help us to develop. And as we have already observed, the success rate of various optionals, out of 100, only 9 are getting selected, even in the optional subject, which is giving highest selection, or even in the public administration. That means out of 100, 91 are going out. 91 are going out. So when 91 are going out of the PSIR, they are not able to develop administrative skills. But when 91 out of PubMed are going out, they already have the administrative skills which can be used to work anywhere within the society, either in the private, either in the self-employment, or to give advice as well. That's the reason why we must always keep this negative outcome also within the mind, that what if, this is called what if analysis. What if ऐसा नहीं होता तो? So what if it is not achieved? If it is not achieved, we still have the better future role available for us, either as an administrator or even as a private individual, because management is also your private administration and public administration is the government administration. That's why we were starting with that idea only, that what is actually the public administration. That is just a syllabus thing. That takes us to the conclusion of the same point where we started today, that what is overall idea about public administration. I hope we are able to clarify these kind of condition, that what is public administration and how much role it can play in our journey. Because optional is always going to help you in scoring the ranks. GS, everybody has to study according to their strength and weaknesses. But the optional is the one which you have to develop as your strength, so that it should be your weapon to fight in this game. That's it. Competitive exam hai to game to hoga hi. We cannot deny that it's not a game. And if it's a game, we should play to the best of our skills and capability. And that's where this entire subject can also help us. That is all from my side of explanation. In case we still have any doubt or query, we are free to type. I will answer your queries from the class. Yes, please.
Hinder my approach GS because I will overthink it with simpler questions. I'm not catered to the demand of the
Okay, it's like suppose I as a student have studied this optional subject and there is a question in the GS, and I may have an overthinking. See, I can always use my optional knowledge to answer the GS question also from simple as well as deeper dimension both. So when I'm writing my GS answer, I will use limited number of arguments. Let's say in my optional note, I may have 10 arguments in favor and 10 arguments against. Plus, I also have written 2-3 scholars' name in my optional papers. When I'm writing that answer in the GS, I can just show 7 points so that it will look like more as a general answer and 1 or 2 technical point, so that my knowledge will always be above than the other competitors. So rather than losing the marks, I will be able to score record marks. वरना 157 नहीं आ सकते ethics में. Think about that. It's the data which speaks for itself, and the best part, data speaks silently. You just have to observe. I might have discussed the things very vaguely, but then it will become, rather than clarity, a kind of controversy. So I just brought the data for the purpose of discussion with the facts, so that it will never be like that, see, whatever you are saying is not at all even factually correct. We should not go in that way. Public administration teaches us to persuade. Persuasion is different from influence. You might come under the influence of a person and you start following that individual. But for persuasion to influence you, I need the facts, which will be rational, universally applicable. So when you convince somebody on the basis of facts, that become persuasion. And that is critical thinking. Based upon facts, based upon data, we have to convince the individual. So there is nothing wrong. Your optional knowledge is always going to help you to write and approach the answer appropriately, because this can be even raised by any another member also. Not just for the PubEd optional, but it could be even applicable for sociology optional, for the geography optional, for the PSIR optional as well. That they have an optional knowledge how they will write the GS answer. Whatever optional have an overlapping with the GS, they always will face this dilemma. But simple knowledge, you write your optional information within the GS as well, nothing wrong. In fact, your answer is going to be more qualitative than your competitors. That's the thing. Yes. Any further queries? We are free to clarify. No? No further doubts? We can just check the online. Yeah. If I spend 3 hours per day, can I finish my optional in 6 months? If we are spending 3 hours per day, even we will cover the optional within just 5.5 months. So your revision will also be done within the next 6 months in that condition. So along with the class, if we are joining the classes, and along with the class, if we are able to contribute 1.5 hours to maximum 2 hours per day, will be more than enough to complete our syllabus. That's the thing. And during the syllabus, we conduct total 5 class tests. 3 are from paper 1 and 2 are from paper 2. Because one test have common topics of paper 1 and paper 2, but still I'm saying that paper 1, 3 question papers and paper 2 have 2 papers, which is conducted along with the classes. So that regularly we will keep on updating ourselves. Plus, while holding discussion in the class, topic wise, we incorporate PYQs. So that what happened in the initial 10-15 classes, I will be discussing the question and also telling the structuring of the answer, so that we can also do the practice in the home by following the structure. After 2 weeks, we might have already covered 8 to 10 questions along with the class discussion. Then I start delegating. Delegating in the sense, now the PYQ is discussed broadly in the class and you will be asked that now you write an assignment. So in 1 month, approximately 7 to 10 questions are done. Then by that time, we have completed one bigger portion called thinkers. Then we conduct a test. So as a result, what happened? It becomes a hand-holding approach for all of us. That means I'm taking this optional, I'm learning by understanding in the class, I'm learning by writing assignment at home, and thereafter I'm re-evaluating the knowledge in the form of the class test. And that approach will always keeps on helping us to build our confidence based upon preparation rather than hearsay things. That is what we can follow in the gradual way. So within 6 months, if we follow this way, we are able to easily cover our entire syllabus, and we can, the first revision may take after the class, first revision can be done in just around 4 to 5 months, and second revision can be again within more lesser time, we can say around 2 to 3 months we can have. So एक साल में 2-3 बार revision कर सकते हैं. That is the kind of optional it is. And the more you revise, the more and more confidence you will develop in the GS portions, specifically here. And some overlapping is with this part. And these means, if you observe very carefully, history and geography are part of GS Mains 1. So out of them, any one subject you have to make strong. Economics, general science, science and technology can be part of GS paper 3. So at least out of them, one is supposed to be our strength. This is part of GS paper 2 with IR. That's why it is supposed to be more stronger in comparison to even the IR, because IR still have just 3 questions to maximum 4 questions in all. But polity governance part will require more detailed strength. And that's why that will be part of scoring. So if we cover through PubEd optional, this will become our strength. Not just here, we can develop strength in this part as well as GS paper 4. That's why we have the best possible overlapping and advantages associated with all of this portion. And that will take us to the simple answers of all these questions where we started. What is this optional all about? Useful for GS paper and essay paper or not? Is it static or dynamic? Newspaper can be useful for us or not? And how current affair will be useful for the optional? It is always going to be linked with this dynamic part. Plus success rate. Now we know this thing that our success rate is very much equivalent to the success rate of the PSIR, which is considered as the best. Is it? And we are even having a higher success rate than the socio and anthropology. Whereas as per market, they have a higher success rate. That's why the problem is. CSAT इसीलिए लाए हैं prelims में कि you must know the difference between quantity and the rate. That's the reason why CSAT has to be introduced. Otherwise, what appears to be visible is the number. Percentage ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहे हैं. So percentage is equally relevant to determine the term. That's why this is the term. Success rate, not the number. And helpful for the future, it is always going to help as an administrator. Wherever I am going to work, it is always will be helping me for problem solving approaches. Yes, please. Rote learning, static part can always be rote learn. Static part. But that's not at all even you can say will dominate the major part. Static part in the sense, if suppose a thinker has given the principle, so principle part and concept can be learned, but its application will be practical. That's why our optional helps us for this case study thing. Otherwise, how we will apply the knowledge in the real practical sense? So rote learning part is there with every subject. So it is also not an exception from the rote learning. But if understanding you do the learning, it becomes more interesting. Because nature of examination and the type of question which are getting asked are not that traditional way. That briefly discuss the Abraham Maslow's motivation hygiene theory. It is now getting asked in a comparative way. How the need hierarchy theory of Abraham Maslow provide the foundation for the ERG theory. So it's like not one theory, 2 theories of motivation will get indulged. and what is the similarity and what is the differences, we are able to answer. So if we know both the theory, this answer will become very easy. If we do not know what is ERG, तो ये out of syllabus हो गया. That's a concern. So on paper it's look like theories of motivation, but motivation के एक paragraph का 10 theory है. So 10 theories means 10 concept, and that overall become one. And under the motivation, any question will come, you will be able to answer by comparison and similarity. That's how we need to develop this entire understanding. Sure. Yes, please. Yes, this is already answered. ये वाले हो चुके हैं, नीचे एक बार और चेक कर लेते हैं. Otherwise, we will conclude. Paper 2 of PubMed seems though very generic. Paper 2 is always generic, and that's also very much related to the current affairs as well. That's why whatever is happening in the country, keep an eye on the newspaper. And you know one thing, first year when we are studying here in the classes, we focus upon the public administration classes, and newspaper will get indulged in the discussion. Once we have completed our syllabus, then next year for the self-study time period, paper 1 thinkers part, we will prepare 1-page note for each thinker. Paper 2, we already have prepared 1-page note, but we will give more time to the newspaper. Why? Because through newspaper, I can recall my entire syllabus. If I'm studying about union government, I will recall in my mind the topics related to union government. I'm studying about parliament, I will recall the parliamentary discussion there. I will be taking 90% of the syllabus of the PubMed, 10% will be taken by my fellow member, Amit sir, but he will only take 3 units. He will be taking around unit number 1 and personnel administration and civil services. Rest entire out of 26 units, 23 will be taken by me. So we have safety with each other. And he is a very experienced member, so he will also be having a detailed note concept for those 3 units, so that you can use it directly for writing the civil services answers. Is it? That way this team will be working. But yes, I have the major burden wall, 90% syllabus to be covered with me. It's ज़्यादा लंबे समय तक के लिए झेलना पड़ सकता है, and that's a concern. Yes, PubMed is it is always helpful as an optional subject. It is going to be a very helpful thing. How to revise PubMed to increase answer ID, and that's what 1-page notes. If suppose you have studied Taylor, so Taylor have given 4 principles, their name, what is the main context of each principle. Then he also gave additional ideas like differential piece rate system, functional foremanship, one sentence on them, and critical evaluation, 7 to 8 arguments against the thinker, and 1-page note will be prepared. Now how much time it will take to revise the Taylor? This is the thing. The more organized you will study, the easy will be your journey. The more complex way of study, वो पता ही नहीं चल रहा कौन thinker कहाँ से पढ़ रहे हैं, then the notes will also become complex, and it will take more time to prepare the small synopsis notes. Means we already have, majority of us have met in the GS, we have studied with the judiciary in an organized way. That's the same approach we follow for entire optional. That's a concern. So when my entire thinker will be organized in a proper 1-page note, and if there are 18 to 19 total thinkers in the paper, so I just need 20 pages to revise. And it will become a kind of a story. 2 hours, 3 hours is more than enough to revise all the thinker after completion of syllabus. वो धीरे धीरे रट जाएंगे, fingers पर हो जाएंगे तैयार. That is the benefit we can have. नीचे करते हैं query. If we can take offline, how we can reach? If you are already taking offline, तो reach तो होगा ही ना. I will be here, means my optional classes are usually in the first half. So you means the batch which we are right now discussing will start from 11. So between 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm generally available in the institution for any interaction. We can always meet, even if we are online. We can send a mail and can interact accordingly. That's a concern. If there's an means interaction needed, and via online we can interact. Otherwise, If we are participating via the message, we can interact both the way. That will be available. Sure. Fine. Okay, then this is all for today. Wishing you all the best. Hopefully, I might not have created doubts for you. I might have clarified all the possible doubts which we carried before entering into this classroom. That is all for today. See you in the class. All the best. End करते हैं.